أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. As you very kindly know that nowadays we are discussing the history of Hazrat Maryam A.S. and we have covered 3 lectures, and today we are inshallah going to discuss the 4th lecture. Yesterday, at the end, there was a question, a very important question. One of our participants here, he had raised a question regarding regarding 2 prophets, Hazrat Yahya alayhi salam and Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, that were they contemporary? What was the time lag? What was the time period? And some other aspects relating to that question. It's a very important question. It is a very deep question. We have to understand that. I will try to explain that first and then I will move forward. I had slightly touched upon that question yesterday also. We have to understand that Torah is a compendium. It is a compilation of different of revelation at different times to different prophets. It's not a revelation to one prophet. Some people say, for example, think that Torah is a revelation only to Musa alayhi salam. No. Torah is a compendium. It is a compilation of revelation over a period of time to different prophets, and it has been compiled together. And it is not one book. The old Bible is not one book. It contains Suhuf of Ibrahim alayhi salam, other Suhuf, and also Torah, which comprises 5 books. 5 books. For example, Genesis, Leviticus, and other books, 5 books. And it has been written in different languages. It was revealed in Hebrew, but it has then been written in, that's why people say Hebrew Bible, or Mike Bible, Latin Bible, English Bible. These are different translations. It is very important to, when we are quoting, that from where we are quoting. Now, the interesting point is that when Hazrat Isa alayhi salam came and Hazrat Yahya alayhi salam came, and these 2 prophets were working at the same time. There was only an age difference of 4 or 5 years. Then why Injil is attributed only to Isa alayhi salam and not to Yahya alayhi salam? Yesterday also I had submitted that usually it is understood that Yahya alayhi salam is the last prophet in the series of the prophets of Torah, 5 books, mostly. And at no time in the history, in the past, before Injil, there was such a gap that one book was closed and then the other book was revealed. It was in continuity. One prophet came while he was working, the other prophet came, and after that some other prophets came. Sometimes 2 prophets came at the same time. Sometimes more than 2 prophets came at the same time. It was all in continuity. There was no break. Now, so far as the compilation of Injil is concerned, why it has taken place separately, as a separate book, whereas 5 books, they all comprise together as one Torah, then it could also have been the 6th book. 6th book, and it could have been said that this is the 6th book of Torah. But Quran tells us, history tells us, and even the Bible tells us that this is a separate book. So we'll have to examine that what is the difference between Torah and Injil then. Torah 5 books. Injil, there are 24 versions. It is one book, but it has 24 versions. So the first difference is that Torah is a compilation of 5 books, whereas Injil is a compilation of 24 versions written by different authors. Out of 24, only 4 are open for us that we read. Otherwise, all other 20 versions of Injil, they are not openly available. And besides that, there is material which is called Apocrypha, which is not open to the public. Only the Pope and other bishops, they have the access at Vatican, they can read it. Otherwise, it's not acceptable. So this is one of the major differences. Books of Torah and versions of Injil. But there is still another major difference. That why a separate? It could have been the 6th book in the series. No, it's not the 6th book in the series. Injil contains most of the orders or the ordainments or the messages or the statements in all the 5 books summarized, collected into one book, that is Injil. So in fact, Injil is the summary which contains most of the ordainments, important ordainments, or ordainments which were necessary for that time, that they have been compiled into Injil. This is a major difference. And then we also know, Bible tells us, and also Quran tells us, history tells us, that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was also a prophet to the Jews. He wanted to correct the situation. He wanted to reform the situation, and he wanted to make the corrections into the additions which had taken place over time in the Torah. He wanted to correct the situation, Musaddiqan. He wanted to attest it. He wanted to correct it. Now, in that, lot of acrimony and problem arose. The people before Hazrat Isa alayhi salam also had been killing the prophets, had been fighting against the prophets, had been rejecting the prophets. But what went wrong, that at the time of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, he has been totally segregated, separated, so that it became a separate religion and a book. The tragedy which took place around the death of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam and the historical events which took place around that event, they contributed a lot to this separation. And furthermore, as I've already said, that Injil is the summary. It contains all of the orders, ordainments from Genesis, from Leviticus, from Exodus, from other books also. So this is the main difference. At that time, Hazrat Yahya alayhi salam was operating in the Transjordan area mainly, and Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was operating in Galilee, not in Jerusalem. But at the last moment, when he came to Jerusalem, he was arrested, and then the trial took place before Pilate. Before that, the FIR was lodged by the Sanhedrin, the committee of the masjid. The trial took place before the head of the committee, and then before Pilate, the governor, then after that before Antipas, the Herod, and then the entire process unfolded. Here, there is one important factor which has contributed to this separation also. Judaism is not the original name of the revelation which came to Musa alayhi salam or to the prophets after Ibrahim alayhi salam. The Jewish people, they were Bani Israel. Yes, it was revelation to them. But the name Judaism has appeared later, because they confined this religion. They thought that it is the religion of the Jews, it is the God of Jews. These were the in background, but they thought that this is the religion of Judea. Judea was a province. Then it became an empire. So it was limited geographically, geopolitically. And they, even today, they trace its power from Hazrat Dawud alayhi salam. He used to deliver lectures on the Mount Zion. The name of the mount is Zion, the mountain Zion. And from there, they adopted the word Zionism. Now there are different aspects which have to be understood. So it was limited at that time even, it was limited geographically to Judea. It was the religion of the Judea. It became the religion of Judaism. When Injil came, when Hazrat Isa alayhi salam came, these geographical barriers were broken. The message of God was not limited to Judea, not limited now to the people of, to the Jewish people. And the entire strategy was changed, that from Ibrahim alayhi salam, it was a religion based on patriarchy, head of the family, male member, family, Ahl Bayt. And then it came to Al Imran. But with Injil, with Isa alayhi salam, this entire pattern was changed. It was more widened, made universal. Before this, Jews were not ready to construct another mosque. They were not ready to allow another mosque. There was only one mosque in Jerusalem. No other mosque. And it was the religion of Judea. Injil, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, Christianity, it universalized. Peter went to Rome. The Hawaris of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, they went to other areas, to Arabian Peninsula, to Iberian Peninsula. They crossed the sea. There was persecution because of the tragedy of the crucifixion, which, as it is called, then people spread. And that is how it became universal. And today it is the biggest, largest religion in the world. But this universalization was still limited. What was the miracle of Quran? It came after a long time. After about 500 years, there's a gap. I've already submitted that the Ahl Bayt, all patriarchy within the family, within the region, within the province, within this empire, these things were broken. But when Quran came, it further universalized. It broke the barriers of all empires, and it gave the concept of Ummah. Quran is the asset of the entire humanity. Islam is the religion not only of Muslims, it is for the Ummah. Anybody living in America, in Europe, is part of the Ummah. It is not limited to geography. For example, we say that internet has broken the information barriers. When Quran came, it broke the physical barriers of empires. Persian Empire, Roman Empire, Sindh Empire, Hind Empire, and Arabian empires, they all became one community. No barriers, no borders, same borders. The concept of Ummah is same borders. So this is very important. Yesterday's question was very deep. So I thought that I may explain this, that what is the background, why these two prophets were there. We were to start discussion on Ayat 44 of Surah 3. At other places also we find in Surah Yusuf and other places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet that I'm giving you this Amba bil Ghaib. I'm giving you this news from Ghaib, which you don't know, which you did not know earlier. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this? I had pointed out to this problem yesterday also. The problem is that although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been exhorting, asking us, read history, Zikr Zakaria, Zikr Ibrahim, but we have not done that. Same is the case with other people, Jews, Christians, they have not done that. They have not written enough. And I pointed out that the Pope, he has, they have resolved at Vatican that we have not done enough research on Maryam A.S. Let us work on the history of Maryam A.S. if you want to understand Christianity. She has made a great contribution. Yesterday we discussed how much contribution she has made. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is accepting that. He is projecting it. And He has herself raised her status. This is an ambab from Ghaib. This is the news from the Ghaib, because it is not written. We have not written history. They have not written history because of the bias. Yesterday I pointed out in Talmud, I'm talking of Talmud, not of Torah, on Talmud, there's no mention of Maryam. Look at the bias. And there are two versions of Talmud, Babylon and Jerusalem version. Okay, we may condone the Jerusalem version because it was written much earlier. But what about the Babylon version, which was written in 500 years after Isa alayhi salam? But there's no mention in book 1, Mishnah, and there's no mention in Gemara, book 2 of the Talmud. So this is a bias. Pointed bias against Maryam, being mother of Isa alayhi salam, being Christian, and also being a woman. There is a great bias in our historically there is a great bias against women, even in the contributions which they have made in the religion. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that I am giving you this news. Also, although it is historical, it is a fact, but I'm giving you first time because you don't know. You have not read it. You have not studied it. It has not been written even. It's not available. So I'm giving you it as a news from the Ghaib. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing out one important fact and telling the Prophet that I'm telling you this naba. Naba means news which is given first time. When the news appears on television, first time, on radio, first time, this is naba. But when after that, it becomes history, it becomes information. This is the difference between naba and information. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I'm giving you this information. First time you didn't know that what these priests were doing at the masjid when Hazrat Maryam was being dedicated to masjid. They were fighting. Each one of them wanted to have the custody, guardianship of Maryam. She was an infant. At that time, did they know that Maryam is going to be such a great person in history? Did they know that she is going to be the mother of Isa alayhi salam? Did they know that her son will get a revelation from God, Injil? That they were fighting that no, let us have the guardianship of Maryam. What was the reason? There must be some other reason. She was an infant. The reason was that her father, her family, they were rich people. They used to donate to the masjid. And they knew that if anybody who gets the custody of Maryam alayhi salam, he will also get a lot of money. So they did not have an intention of nurturing her, raising her the way she should have been in the masjid. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a different design. They were fighting. Genesis of power. I'm not talking of only of power. Genesis of power. What is the nature of power? It doesn't remain. There is no the science also tells that there cannot be vacuum in the universe. There's no vacuum. Even whenever there is a vacuum, it will be filled by some power. The power will flow into it. The radiation will flow into it. Wind will flow into it, depending upon the situation, in whatever situation the vacuum is. In the story of Hazrat Talut, Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam, the Jewish people, they were not agreeable on electing a king. So what is the lesson? They said that they were praying God that give us a king. What does that mean? When you are not able to decide your own matters, what is happening in Afghanistan? When you are not able to decide your own matters, what is happening in other Muslim countries? When you are not able to decide your own matters, the big powers come in. Other powers come in. Other sovereign powers come in. They give you their decision. They give you their leadership, your leadership. They give the decision. Here, the situation is that the rabbis, they were not on one page. They were not agreeable. They were not ready to cooperate. They were not ready to listen to each other. They were fighting. And then the superpower had to give his own decision. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that while they were fighting among themselves, they were drawing lots. I decided the matter and I gave her guardianship to Zakaria alayhi salam. That is how Zakaria alayhi salam got her guardianship. And she was raised in the mihrab of the masjid, center of the masjid, not in the apartment of the masjid, not in the corridor of the masjid, in the mihrab. And that is considered to be the holiest of all places. At that time, there was one masjid and she was raised there. There are other aspects also, but I think I've already taken a lot of time. I'll just complete a couple of ayat and go further. I invite your attention to one aspect in the next ayat, in ayat number 45 of Surah Al-Imran. Before this, we are told, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I sent Ruhana, my Ruh. I sent our Ruh to Maryam A.S. and who gave her my message that I am giving you son. Ruh has been translated usually by the people as Farishta or Malik or angel. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself given the meaning of Ruh. Yes, alunaka anir Ruh. They're asking you about Ruh. What is Ruh? Cool. Tell them from my side. You are not giving your own definition, but Allah is saying, the Prophet, give them definition from my side. Ar-Ruh min amri Rabbi. It is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the command which was sent, Ruh, appeared before Maryam like a holograph. Masal, Bashar, like a human being. And it spoke to her. Now that is singular, which has been used. But here in this ayat, it is important to note, it says, is qalatil malaikatu. Plural has been used. There, singular has been used. One Ruh, one command. He appeared as a Bashar. But here, it means that there was a communication with Maryam alayhi salam, not on one occasion, not on one point, not through one Malik, but it was through more than one malaika. Because the word malaika has been used. It says, Iskalatil malaikatu ya Maryam, inna Allah yubashiruka bil kalmat min. Word kalma has been used. Kalma. Hazrat Isa alayhi salam is called kalma. Every human being is a kalma. DNA is a kalma. Written by in 4 amino acids. I mean 4 amino acids A, T, C, G. If you write A, T, C, G, it is one kalma. But if you write T, A, C, G, it is a different kalma. Universe is written in kalmat. It is written mathematically. Asaynahu kulla shayin adada. It is written in adad. It is written in mathematics. So here word kalma is being used, but why I'm emphasizing this, but in next ayat I'm going to explain some other word also with reference to this. So here she is being told that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you a basharat of kalam, his kalam, or DNA, a set of chromosomes, a set of genes, a kalma. DNA is a kalma, written in genes, written genetically. It is a kalma. And then in the next ayat, it says, I think I go to that ayat which I want to point out. Maybe it says in the first. Anyway, here another thing which I wanted to point out was that when the angel is telling Hazrat Maryam A.S. that Allah has given you the basharat of kalma and he will become your son, at that time word alka is being used. Alka, not nafakha. When human being is created, in the evolutionary process, when human being is created, for Adam also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I nafakh, I installed my ruh, installation. Word installation is used, nafakh. But here, word alka is being used. She is being told that the kalma has been alka, and it all happened in a very small fraction of a time. It didn't go through the evolutionary process. It didn't go through the gynecological processes, which are otherwise medically required. It was alka. It was not the process of nafakh, but it was the process of alka. These are scientific things which I just wanted to point out, that how Quran is very precise in using the scientific words. Now, in the next ayat, I'm just discussing here the words because I want to complete it today. In ayat 46, Quran is telling, look at the precision, that this boy will be born to you, your son, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, will be speaking in the cradle and also as kahal, mahad and kahal, mahad in the cradle. But what is the meaning of kahal? Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling her that he will not go beyond the middle age. He died at 34, 35. Word kahlan does not mean sheikh, does not mean old age. It means the middle age. As a child, as an infant, in the mahad, in the lap, he will speak like a grown-up person. But as a grown-up person, Quran is telling that's the end of his age of Isa alayhi salam. Right in the beginning. We'll look at the word which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen. It doesn't say that he will speak. وَيُكَلِّمُ النَّاسَ فِي الْمَهْدِ وَشَيْخًا. It says Kahlan. Kahlan is the middle age, less than 40. Other prophets were given prophethood after 40, usually. But here he was given the prophethood right from the beginning. And then Kahlan. So this word Kahlan is very important to understand scientifically, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using this. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to khalaka, the process of khalaka, whereas she herself, Maryam A.S, she is referring to the process of cooperation, interaction between man and woman. She is telling that lam yasasni bashar, no human being has touched him. She is referring to the normal interaction or cooperation between a man and woman necessary for giving birth to a child. She is referring to the normal process. But in reply, she is being told, and the word khalaq is being used. And it says that Allah, whatever he wants, it is a matter of his Shah. Shah, intention. Whatever comes in his intention, he can create. He can create ex nihilo. He can create nihilo. it is what I want to emphasize is that it's very important to understand the importance of each and every word. Why Kahlan has been used there and why here Khalaka has been used, whereas she is referring to the normal process of interaction between man and woman. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining the process of his kun fayakun in the next ayat. Iza kada amran. Iza refers to time. When the time comes, when it is the time, Iza, when it is the time, at that time, Iza kada amran. When it is the time that the amr, command, software has been completed, kada, completed. When it is the time that the software, that the affair, that the amr has been completed, kada, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need any factory. He doesn't need any machine. He doesn't need any tools. He simply says, kul. He says, kul, kul. He says, kal. He simply says, innama yakulu lahu. He tells to that, says to that, which is an intention, which has been software, which has been finalized. He tells it, kun, be. Then it is very important to understand what is for yakun. We immediately go to yakun, that is, he says, be, and it is. For is very important. When he says kun, when he says be, then there are two aspects of for. For means, in consequence to saying his kun, which is in consequence to the kada amran, which is in consequence to Shah, which was in his intention, from intention to kada, that command, amr, and he says kul, he says be, kun, and then the process in consequence, for is referring to the consequence of all this process. Allah is telling us his own science, how his science works. It is not random. It is not whimsical. Even his intention is well planned. Entire singularity was so well planned that the entire design for 15 billion years has been given in one singularity when the Big Bang took place. Then, in consequence to that, accordingly, systematically, in consequence, in compliance, for has so many connections here. For yakun. Now, yakun is mazara. It becomes, it starts becoming, it continues to become. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says kun to the Big Bang, and it started becoming, and it is still becoming, it is still expanding. La musun, this entire universe is being expanded. It is a process. Yakun is a continuous, present, future, includes all these meanings that the process comes into being. He says be, in consequence, it comes into being, comes into being. And there is some point for reflection. I think I'll go for only 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I'll complete this. There is one important point to know. Hazrat Maryam A.S. was living in the masjid. She was living in the mihrab. Congregations were taking place. Salat was taking place. It was not necessarily this form of salat which we are doing, but there was sajda, there was ruku. This has remained common. The other forms may have variations in Jewish religion and in the Christian religion. She is being told, Maryam Uknuti, be constantly submissive. It is not that I obey God for a moment, for a day, for a year, and then I violate it. It is a matter of integrity, and integrity becomes character. There's a difference between honesty and integrity. There is nobody on the signal. You can break the signal, but you are not breaking it. It is a matter of your character, because it is because matter of your integrity. Because you are constantly qanitan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word for Maryam A.S. She was qanita. She was qanitan. She was constantly submissive. And in that process, le rabbik, for your Lord. Not like those people who place the portrait and say, Subhan Rabbi Ala, and there's somebody else in the mind. Why people were asked to raise the hands and say Allahu Akbar, they used to bring the idols under the armpits. They were asked to raise the hands, say Allahu Akbar. So, le rabbik, for your Lord. But there's another important point here. Vasujudi, warkai, go into prostration, perform ruku, ma'ar rakiin, in congregation. For example, you are in itikaf in masjid, the congregation is taking place, you can't do that. Okay, let them perform the congregation. I'll perform my salat afterwards, along with the congregation. A woman is being asked to perform your salat in congregation, ma'ar raki'in, along with them, those who are performing ruku. She's not being asked that you remain in the compound, a hidden compartment under lock and key, in a separate compartment as we have built here. Ma'ar raki'in, along with them. We have created the barriers towards some corrections in the belief. I've already pointed out this thing, that here it was a process of alka ila Maryam. It was not nafakh for the evolution, in the evolution of man, or when a human being is conceived in the embryo, when in the zygote is formed, when the conception takes place, and when it grows, and it grows into an embryo, and at say about 12 or 16 weeks, when the ruh is nafakh, that is a process of installation. The command is installed, the software is installed. But here word alka is being used, because at that time, in one session, she was given a boy. She was given a child, alka. Entire kalma was alka. This is important to note the difference between the nafakh and alka. I've already mentioned this. And then this is the important instruction which is being given here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling, don't cross the limits. Don't go beyond the bounds. In everything, in anything, in religion even. Don't be zealous. Don't be bigots. Don't cross limits. They have crossed limits. You don't cross the limits. But we have also crossed limits. In everything we have crossed limits. That is why we are in this situation. Do not go beyond the bounds in your religion. This is the translation of Ayat 171, Surah An-Nisa. And do not say anything of Allah but the truth. We have created our own definitions of Allah. We define Allah in our own ways. Prophet did not define. People were asking him, Isna, tell us, Sana, what is Allah? He didn't give the reply. Till the revelation came, Kul, huwa, Allah, all. He didn't give the explanation. But here everybody is defining Allah. And then Isa alayhi salam is just the word of God, which was Alka, as DNA. Alka. And then it was conveyed to Mary. It was conveyed. It was given to Mary. It was conveyed. Protestants, usually in general, Protestants they reject the veneration and invocation of saints. They don't believe in saints, Pir, Murid, Murshid, Protestants. Protestants came as a reformation to Catholicism. Martin Luther wrote the articles, basically wrote 5 articles. And after that, the movement started. And that movement was supported by the Khilafat Usmaniya also, physically also, militarily also. People were being persecuted in Portugal, in Transylvania, in Germany. They sent them, they supported them physically. They sent the forces, they sent the military. It was not an easy process. And then they don't believe in the saints and murids and things like that. And then they share the belief that Mary is the mother of Jesus. They don't say that Isa is the son of God. They say Mary is the mother. And then Mary is blessed among women. They don't say that Mary is divine. As we have attached divinity to some people in the Ahl Bayt, in the people around the Prophet, in the people who were his Sahaba, and so many people, we have attached divinity. We have attached spirituality from spirit, from Ruh. But here they don't believe in these things. And Maryam is considered as outstanding example of life, whole life, Qanitan, dedicated to God. Non-Trinitarians, those who don't believe in Trinity, there are different sects in Christianity. About 20% of the Christian communities of the sects, they don't believe in Jesus as the Son of God. They don't believe in Trinity. They say God is one and Jesus is a created human being, created by God himself. So non-Trinitarians acknowledge Mary as biological mother of Jesus Christ and do not recognize Marian titles of Mary, such as Mother of God. No, she is mother of human Jesus. So with this, we come to the conclusion of discussion on Hazrat Maryam. Allah may accept it and forgive me if there is any mistake. You can conduct your own research and hold your own opinion. Allah may guide us all. And after since we have concluded, if there is any question, you can raise after the dua. Subhan Rabbika Rabbil Izzat Amma Yasifun wa Salamun Alal Mursaleen Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And I'll request that we also pray for our brother Sayyidna Dr. Mamdou Salama, who is not feeling well. He may soon join us soon. Allah may give him quick recovery, perfect recovery, so that he comes back and we benefit from his scholarship, his leadership, and we are missing him.
Ameen, 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 Ameen.
Allahumma Ameen. And Allah may grant perfect health to our son Marj and our sister Aisha, as we usually continuously pray for this. Allah may help them, make it easy for them, quick for them, and give them perfect health as perfect human beings, healthy human beings, in his service, in the service of God, in the service of community. And Allah may help us all human beings, all Muslims, all Ummah, and Allah may have mercy on all the creations on this earth. Not only Muslims are in danger, not only one religion is in danger, not only in one faith is in danger, all humanity is in danger, all environment is in danger, all climate is in danger. And Allah may have mercy on all of us who are interconnected, we are his creation, and the entire creation is his creation, and we are part of that. If we are kind to the creation, if we are kind to the environment will be kind to us. But this process depends upon God. He is the Lord of all these creations, all the environment, all the systems. We pray him to have more mercy which is limitless, in fact, on all of us. Subhan Rabbika Rabbil Izzat Amma Yasifun wa Salamun ala al Mursaleen Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Thank you very much.